Welcome to Nevertheless Podcast with Bidemi Mark-Mordi, a show dedicated to organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. Today, you would learn how to discover your essence and live more powerfully.
Hello there. Welcome to the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. And this is the second week in our Ask and Answer series with BMM. And of course, I have her in the studio again.
Yes. Well, if you're going to be asking BMM to answer, she has to be in the studio, right?
Yes.
Hi, people. God bless you and thank you for joining us on the Nevertheless Show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi, as you know, also known as BMM. And John has me here grilling me about the things I probably do not want to talk about. So it's our Ask and Answer series. And John, what questions do you have for me this week?
I feel you will like this one.
Okay.
Because we're talking about the pains of leadership.
So why would I like that?
Why I feel so is because you allow a lot of people become vulnerable around you.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that in your experience, time, working with these different people, you'd understand pain, how people deal with pains, and all these things. That's why I feel you just might like it.
Okay. And let's hope so.
Okay, so but before we go on, I want to ask you, what's your idea of leadership? What's your own unconventional definition of leadership?
It's not my definition. It's a John C. Maxwell definition.
Okay.
And that's the definition that leadership is influence. So the way I see it, leadership doesn't necessarily have to have you saying anything or doing anything. Inviting people to do something to them or say something to them. I think that the way we live our lives is leadership at the greatest level because you can influence others by it. The other thing that I want to say about that definition, or another definition that stood out for me, is the fact that you cannot lead others until you can lead yourself. So leadership is first knowing how to lead yourself. If you can discipline yourself, you can influence yourself, you can correct yourself, you can do all of those things to yourself, and you take your own corrections and your own counsel and all of that, then perhaps you can be a great leader.
Okay, so this is the first question I want to ask you. Particularly,
that was not the first one.
No, that is just an introductory question.
Okay.
So this is the first question that we have down. Somebody might be asking themselves, looking from afar, leadership looks glamorous, looks lovely, looks nice, and there's no pain to leadership. I want to ask you personally, are there pains to being a leader? Are there
I think that everything in life comes with its own fair share of pain, and leadership is not an exception. So yes, there's pain to leadership. If you ask me, from my personal experience, what is the greatest pain of leadership? A lot of people will say when people betray me or when I didn't. I think for me the greatest pain of leadership is to be lonely. Leadership can be very lonely because you can have 1,000 people around you and yet you're lonely because you're there alone. Everybody wants you to be responsible to them and for them. And 80% of the time, over 90% of those people do not ask, what do you need? So you find yourself having to pour out, give out, extend yourself, and yet no one knows what you need in the moment. So if there's any pain in leadership for me that I've had to deal with from time to time, and this is a pain that I actually do not think goes away, is the loneliness that can be in leadership, yes.
Okay, so I want to ask you, how do you deal with these pains that come as a leader?
Okay, so if we're going to address the pain of loneliness, I think that when as a leader, because you know that it can be lonely being a leader, you have to intentionally curate safe space relationships so that it's not when you get into the place when you find yourself lonely that you now begin to determine who will be my safe space in this time. There must be somewhere you can go when you feel like that. I think a couple of days ago, I was saying to myself, I think it's time for me to go draw strength. I was saying to myself, I need to have this conversation with my husband. Maybe I need to buy a ticket and go somewhere. Because you must know your refueling point. It's like a car.
Yes.
You know, you drive a car and drive a car and drive a car. I think that's why there's a gauge in the car, and it shows on your dashboard. It begins with the amber color and then ultimately becomes red, right? That, oh, this your car is, but you don't wait until you get to red before you begin to, you know, so either have your fueling points, you know, built into your journey, the plan as you plan your trip, or know what your car will begin to show on the dashboard to determine that you need to step away and refuel. So for me, how to deal with leadership pain, because it would always come, whatever pain it is, make sure you have safe space relationships. If you have safe space relationships, then you know where to go. And these people don't necessarily have to be able to help you, but they can listen to you, and then sometimes they can swap war stories with you, and you can cry together or laugh together, do whatever together. But when you leave, you usually will feel better. Yes.
That's lovely. Thank you very much for that response. So, still on the leadership points, you know, when you become a leader, you are in the face of the people. At that point in time, everybody seems to have an opinion about everything about you. So how do you deal with the opinions of people? This one is saying this one is saying that.
What I have done, and I still do, is number one, I'm sorry, but really, many opinions don't matter. But because I'm trying to achieve something with my leadership, what I ask myself is, how would this affect what I'm about to do or what I'm called to do? So if I pre-think through and I arrive at, okay, if people begin to talk, so let's talk about my dressing, for instance. So it doesn't matter how I like to dress normally. If I know it's going to impact on the goal of my journey, and people, you know, people who don't understand or know me or know even where I'm coming from are likely to judge me based on that, then for the sake of where I'm going, I should adjust myself. Do you see it? It's not about their opinion for me, is how does their opinion impact on the goal? So if it would affect the effectiveness of what I'm called to do, then to an extent I need to, not because I'm afraid of them, but I need to pay attention to what they're saying. Because you see, I always say that everything has a level of truth in it, even though that's not 100% true. But perception is, you know, you're the one that told me that perception is more important to people than reality. So if you have a goal, maybe God called you to do X, Y, Z. If the people's perception of you is why that thing will not get done properly, then you may want to make those adjustments just for the sake of what you are trying to achieve. Does that make sense? So it's not about answering to the critics. It's not about, you know, engaging them. I really don't have the bandwidth for that. You know, on social media, I'll just block you. That's me. But I need to ask myself, if this is how people perceive me, then how would it impact upon what I'm trying to achieve? And if by any stretch of imagination, I think that is going to adversely affect what I'm doing, then I make adjustments in the moment, because what God has called me to do is bigger than any reputation I should have.
That's impactful. So it's not me trying to respond to fix the people or favor the people or any such thing.
The bottom line, the reason why I'm on the track that is even giving them the opportunity to talk to me or talk about me or talk at me is what I should focus on. Yes.
So I want to ask a follow-up question to that. So you become a leader and your people are looking up to you. All right. So they're not just looking up to you based on that thing that God has called you to do. Many of them will try to dress like you sometimes. You try to, and I've not said this before, but how my wife named herself after we got married was after we met you. Oh, she bears Mark-Mordi, okay, let's do like that. You know, so little things like that. We may not necessarily be only just looking at the vision in the long term, but little things like that. So I want to ask, how do you adjust other areas of your life? Or do you need to adjust other areas of your life that may be in the public? Like, for example, your relationship with your husband, your relationship with your spouse, how you dress, how you present yourself. Do you need to make adjustments because of these people? that are looking at you, or because of, or should they also have a say on those things too?
Well, if you are called to serve them, maybe to an extent they have a say, okay? But here's the thing that I have learned, and this is what I do. If I'm the same person at home and outside, then there's nothing to adjust. Because for me, it's too much work to be one person out and to be another person in. So it's easier for me to just be the same person from start to finish. That's where I'm not adjusting anything. That's where I'm not pretending through anything. That's where you don't find gaps in my conversations or my stories with you. Do you understand it? So that, yes, authenticity it just cuts off a lot of fluff. So if I'm a no-nonsense person, it's who I am. Do you understand it? Because that's the way a lot of people view me. They say, oh, she's too strict. I'm not strict because I have something against people. Do you get it?
Yes.
It's who I am. And I'm not strict by malice. So I'm not being strict around people because I want to show them, I want to oppress them. Do you understand it? If I'm strict around you, it must be because I know that I'm trying to help you curate a path for your life that brings you where you need to go. But if that's who I am at home and who I am at work and in the ministry, then it's who I am. I don't need to begin to adjust, to just so that you will like me here, and then when I get home, I'm a different person. How I do with my husband is what I call him at home is what I call him everywhere else. I don't have special names for him when we're in public, and they're just, and when we get home, the story is different. It's the same conversation, whether we're home or we're out. For me, I think that if you have authenticity running through, then it's easier. People may not in the beginning understand some of the things that you do or who you are. But ultimately, if they take the time and they're patient enough, they would understand the why behind what you do. And especially if they can tell that it comes from a good place and it's who you are, I think that most of them, let me not say all of them, most of them get to adjust ultimately. But there are also people that no matter how hard you try, they're never going to make that adjustment. And that's still fine because you can't be called to everybody. So if you know that, then you'll be at peace.
Exactly. All right. This has been fantastic. This first segment of the
Okay, we're going on break.
Yeah, so we'd like to take a break. All right. So please don't go anywhere.
See you in a bit.
Are you seeking to clarify your purpose and profit from it? Then, get into the Purpose University this year. A 10-week e-course for people of faith who seek to clarify their purpose and profit from it. The DNA of Purpose has been put together to help you understand what purpose is about and discover what your journey of purpose might look like. Register today at yourpurposeu.org, where Bidemi Mark-Mordi would hold your hands to discover your purpose and live powerfully.
In a world filled with many fears and discouragement, life often becomes a burden. For those who know the way, life is just simple. Do not worry, you're not alone on this life's journey, as Bidemi Mark-Mordi shares powerful insights and principles from her everyday work and life experiences in her book, Nevertheless. Nevertheless is a book designed to encourage and equip you to face life with courage, hope, and determination. Get a copy of Nevertheless and other books written by Bidemi Mark-Mordi, like The Wisdom of the Seed, Honor, The Theology of Work, and so much more from a bookstore nearby, or call 080-905-63555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimarkmordi.com to place your order. I guarantee you will make it. Nevertheless.
Alright, you're welcome back to the Nevertheless show, a show for organic leaders and leaderpreneurs, and I still have it in the studio, Bidemi Mark-Mordi. Welcome back. So thank you very much for the responses you've given us so far on leadership. So I want to ask you another question. When you're dealing with people, as like you've said, leadership is influence. So people are influencing their crew. These different people will have opinions someone's ideas, But many times it could be negative. So how do you learn to see all negative, or how do you deal with negative opinions, negative thoughts and stuff like that?
First and foremost, I would always approach this from the integrity of my heart. No leader is above mistakes, yes? If it's that I made a mistake,
Yes.
and people are talking about it, then my responsibility is to take it on board,
Yes.
not to try to defend myself, take it on board. And 80% of the time, actually, apologize if it is something you have done wrong, even if it is not intentional. If someone says you've hurt me, even if you didn't set out to hurt the person, say, oh, I'm sorry I made you feel that way. Then if you have the time or you have their ear, then explain to them why you got there, okay? You see, the thing that I'm trying to get us to see is that leaders are not infallible. So people's opinions can be valid sometimes. But there are also people who just want to witch hunt and they want to pull you down. If that is the scenario that I have, I always will ask myself, have I done everything that I can do with this person? For instance, if they are in close proximity, if they're in proximity to me, have I done everything that I could have done to ensure that I do the work that I'm supposed to do with them well? I lead them well, for instance. If I've done all that I believe that I owe them, and yet they are dissatisfied, then I do not think is my problem. It is their problem. I may not tell them it's their problem, but I will not also bend over backwards to become who they want me to be, simply because they want me to fit a box or a mold that they have built by themselves that I don't want to fit in, or I'm not even optimized to fit in. So you can sift through these things and say, okay, these are true. So I made a mistake here. Let me say I'm sorry. I think that as leaders, we must learn to say I'm sorry. Then you can also come look at them and say, okay, these are people who just want me to be what they want me to be because it benefits them. I refuse to bend and become who they want me to be simply because they would benefit from it. So what would happen in that case? It may cause a separation between you and them, and that's fine. The third batch of people are people who have no clue who you are, but they have a ton everything. They don't matter. They are noise. They are noise. They don't matter. So I will not respond, especially if it's social media. I will not respond. I'll delete your comments and I'll ban you from my page. I don't have any problem with that at all. Because I'm not hungry for the numbers that if I take you out, then my number drops by one person and then I have issues. I will ban you and ban you and ban you and I will sleep well. Because these ones are trolls. They're bullies. And I don't want to engage bullies and I don't want their noise to sink into my system. So I do that and I walk away. Here's the point. You cannot be overly concerned about reputation that you allow yourself to sink into things you shouldn't sink into. So reputation, yes, if you are overly concerned about reputation, when you are the one who is wrong, you won't want to say sorry. You will always look for a way to explain away what you've done. There's no need. Sorry is easier. It cuts that journey in like 80% quickly and you move on. Sometimes you say sorry and you still would not move forward with the person in question or the people in question. But anywhere they go, they would be able to say, or you will be able to, if you're asked, I did say sorry and I did mean sorry when I said it. The second batch of people, they want you to, they don't love you really, but they want to be around you because there's something they get from benefiting. And so they want you to fit their mold so that they can go out and say, even myself and John, we are the same person. We're not the same person, please. So I'm not going to break because you want to shine. So I'm going to just let you be. If you want to remain, it's fine. If you don't want to remain, it's still okay. But all of this comes with an assurance of knowing who you are in your core. Who are you? If your identity, your sense of identity is solid, you will not swing like the pendulum with what people are saying. You'll be focused on what it is that you're doing, and you do it well. But the point is, no matter what you do, people will talk anyway. So just make sure that they talk for the right reason. Jesus said it in Matthew 5. He said, that blessed are you when you're persecuted for righteousness' sake. So make sure that whatever they're doing it because you're doing what you are supposed to be doing. And that's okay. That's okay. And let me just finally say that no matter what, especially these social media trolls and bullies, in another 24 hours, they'll find a new victim.
So why worry your head over them?
Yes.
Right?
They don't matter. Honestly, they do not.
They do not.
Yes.
So it's if you find a balance between number one, what matters and what doesn't matter, and also you being assured in your own person.
Yes.
Assured in your own person. I want to ask another question. Now, with what you've explained, there are sometimes that you don't have genuine concerns. In chasing or in trying to help a follower who is somebody has said they've contributed, how far can you go in trying to help that person?
For me, the yardstick is simple. If my trying to save you would mean that I would contravene God's standard, then I'm not the one that should try and save you. If it will make me compromise something that I believe I should never compromise, then I'm not the person. So maybe someone else is supposed to be doing that work with you. That's number one. Number two, if I have to do it at a risk of losing myself in the process, then I'm not the person either. Do you get it? You see, this leadership and followership journey is two ways.
Exactly.
I'm leading, you are following. You have to be following me for me to lead you.
Exactly.
So I'm not dragging you to be able to lead you. I don't have to carry you on my head to be able to lead you. Nowhere is it said that I must put you on my back to lead you. Do you understand? Make a decision to follow. So if you're not following, but all you're doing is complaining, all you're doing is crying out, that perhaps someone, even though I suffer from the mosaic syndrome, which means I want everybody around me to make it. But the older you get, you don't even have the energy for those things anymore. So you need to recognize that, okay, you're supposed to be following as I'm leading. So if I'm trying to lead, and by grace of God, I'm trying to lead well, but you are not following, it cannot be my fault.
Okay, I have a question to ask to follow this off. It's not part of the list.
Okay.
But I think those that are listening, not, of course, I know it's for a show for leaders and organic leaders and leaderpreneurs. But I know that even as a leader, you'll be following someone too.
Yes.
So I want to ask, what are the things that you wish some of your followers knew? Or how you wanted your followers to act, that you feel that, this person has acted this way, that I made a better follower, that made my work easier. What are those things?
Well, maybe number one, believe in yourself as much as I believe in you. I'm talking of people I'm trying to lead in close proximity. Believe in yourself. See what I can see in you. Because people need to recognize that leaders would lean on you more because they can see who you are that you probably cannot see yet. So what you think that like they're picking on you, why are they always calling me, is because they see value in you and they're trying to process that value out. Do you see it? So I'll say, I wish that they could see what I see in them. Number two is I wish they would be patient enough. Because especially in your generation and younger, patience is something that doesn't exist anymore. So people come, they want it microwaved and given to them. But there's some things that take a while to cook. So I would say, I wish you'll be patient enough. Because people will say to you, you've served 6 months. You've been around them 6 months. Why haven't they done this and done that? You want someone to bring you on a platform in 6 months that it took them 25 years to build. And the thing about platforms, for instance, is if you give someone, at least in the line of work that I do, if you give someone your microphone, you validate their entire life. You are saying to those that you put them in front of, this person is worthy. You can follow them the way they follow me. The way you follow me. You can, yes, that's exactly what you're doing. And someone thinks that 6 months is enough, 1 year is enough for you to put them in the front of a reputation you have built for decades. A lot of people have lost out because they don't stay enough. They don't stay long enough. They're in a hurry to tap, get it and leave. And what usually would happen, from my experience, is they can posture all they want, but they're still half-baked.
Yes, there's no substance there.
Yeah.
There's no substance there. So, in case you're listening to this and you're wondering how you can help your leader better, these are 2 powerful keys that she has given to you now. And I want to ask a final question. For those that are leaders, they're just coming up, they're beginning to build a following, they're doing. What counsel would you give to them for them not to fail?
No, but break. Just slow down. Just slow down.
That's unconventional. It's not something I was expecting you to say.
What did you expect me to
Maybe
say?
3 points.
No, just slow down. Just slow down. Even you are being built. Even you go and ask leaders who have been 20 years in the business, they're still being built. They know that.
Wow.
So you see them, you don't see them really, leaders who know their onions, you don't see them everywhere. So you need to slow down. I know that you are anointed. I know that you are graced. I know that you went to school. I know that you are popular. I know these many things. But what holds this together is character, and character can be built in a day. So it takes a patience, it takes a slowing down, it takes an understanding that I'm on my journey. And it's not a sprint or a dash, it's a marathon. So you need to slow down and make sure that precept upon precept, that when you finally leave one level, what the level you're leaving or you're moving on from is a level that you are solid at and you can always come back to. And no matter what, the things you learned at that level, you can always commit them into the hands of other people. That's number one. Number two is don't mind everybody that tells you are the best thing after fresh air. I promise you, you are not. Do you get it? Yes. You are not. Because people tend to, I don't know why we do it, but people tend to just want to overhype things and hype people. You are not. If you fall for that hype, you will break too early. You are not. You are not. I remember, maybe this would help you. Someone sent me an inbox message a few years ago on Facebook and said, "Mighty woman of God." This person does not know me. How do you end up calling me mighty woman? So I responded and said, "God bless you, ma. I'm not mighty, ma. I'm just trying to serve a great God." I think they took offense because they didn't follow that conversation up. But I don't know, you don't hype me. Because even those who know me and will go with me don't call me mighty. Do I want to die early? Which mighty for where? Do you see it? Yes. Don't fall for the noise. Don't let anyone tell you that you're the best of the best. You are better. You are not.
That's true. That's true.
None of us is. We're all just growing. Do you get it? Yes. So humility becomes you. It helps you get to where you need to go. I think this too is enough. before you guys come for me.
Exactly, right? We should first of all slow down and then humility.
Don't believe that. Don't believe the hype. Especially your own hype. You're not as good as you think. I promise you. Because one day God will just give you, you'll just move curtain and show you someone else, and you'll be like, wow. You know nothing, you be nothing.
Stay humble. Thank you so much for this insightful response that you're giving to these questions. I believe that our listeners who are joining, wherever they're joining YouTube, wherever the podcast you have listened to, I know it has blessed you in some way. Of course, if you have a question that you want to ask or you have a contribution, you can do well to read them in the comments, and do well also to follow BMM on all social media platforms at Bidemi Mark-Mordi.
Thank you so much, John, for again another episode. And thank you, everyone, for being part of this show. If Jesus tarries, we'll see you next week. Remember, when you discover purpose, you live powerful lives. All of you have some greatness on the inside of you. Embrace that superpower, and there's no telling how far you go. God bless you. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to Nevertheless. For more information and resources, call 080-90563-555 or send an email to bidemi@bidemimark.com. Don't forget, discovering your purpose helps you live more powerfully.